All right, I think it should be live now. We'll wait just a couple seconds, let everybody join, and then we'll get going, guys. Good to see you again, Pavel. Wish you could be here with us.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah. It's only a 2-hour drive, man. You got to get up here.
I'll be there for the next one, so.
Yeah. That's
Today
what, the 11th, yeah? Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So I think we're about ready, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, it's good to be here with you again.
Yeah, again.
Yeah, welcome everybody to our Masterclass Dynamics 365 Testing Masterclass series. I'm your host, Jake Davis, as usual, and I'm joined again today by Marek Domagawa, Senior Test Engineer here at X Plus, an expert in test automation, of course. And we're also joined today by Pavel Wozniak. I think you can see him on the screen as well. And Pavel is one of the OGs when it comes to test automation here with Executive Automats. So welcome, everybody. We're happy to have this. This is our third episode, as I mentioned. And today, the title is Test, Report, Automate, Master QA Insights in Dynamics 365 with Executive Automats. Basically, how to test and report results effectively in Dynamics 365. So in our previous webinars, we've talked a bit about strategy with Pavel and I. We talked a little bit about just testing overall and in general, and did some examples, with Marek in the first one. And so today we're going to talk a bit about how you go from doing the testing, detecting bugs and so forth, and then moving on to reporting. But before we do that, it's something that we hear about from our customers all the time, actually. And so Pavel is going to start off and talk about data preparation and one particular aspect of it, actually data anonymization. So I'll turn the floor over to him, and Pavel, you can take the screen. I know you have a few slides for us, but before we jump into anything with testing, let's talk about this prerequisite of having data prepared. And Pavel, you can talk about how anonymization is oftentimes necessary. And so I'll hand it over to you at this moment.
Sure. So I will show you guys what we have for data anonymization, why it is important to have it, especially for testing reasons. And I will walk through through the two products, and I will tell you how they work. So in a bundle, we call our suite as a data protection suite. It is a combination of two separate products, which we can have in a bundle or use them separately. So first product is mass data anonymization. This is a product which works on the whole databases and allows us to search for the sensitive data in the database and anonymize this sensitive data across the whole database. This is used mostly on test environments or just environments other than the production. And it is used for multiple reasons. From testing perspective, it is used to transfer production data to test environments, but anonymized. So we don't use the sensitive data, but still we can use production database with some sensitive data anonymized. And the second one is personal data anonymization. This application is used on production environments. So this is the I would say main difference between those two. And personal data anonymization works on the selective sensitive data. So we can scan for the not only sensitive data, but the specific sensitive data of the specific customer, for instance, to anonymize it. So this one is used mostly to fill up all the legal requirements around GDPR and
like
other,
right to be forgotten or something like this, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, we will talk about it. Yeah. All right, so just a quick introduction why data anonymization is important and what is the landscape or law landscape around it. So of course in Europe we have GDPR, which makes this like obligatory for the companies to protect the data, protect the personal data, sensitive data of customers, of employees. So it doesn't work only in European Union, actually, because it is about the data of European citizens. So if any company around the world is processing the data of people from Europe, they are still obliged to follow the GDPR rules. And of course, breaking those rules can lead to severe financial penalties, and we could hear about really high penalties for not following GDPR. In United States, for instance, we have California Consumer Privacy Act. This act contains similar rules and laws like GDPR. It was introduced by California, but many other states they create right now or created similar versions to Californian Act. So many states in US have something similar, and this works the same as GDPR. So if we process any data of citizens of California, it also creates the rules how we can process this data. So if we want to be aligned with any of those compliance, we need to follow a few rules, and I will go back to that. So let's go to the next slide, where we have the mass data anonymization. And what is the anonymization at the first place? So anonymization is permanent, irreversible removal or transformation of a data, which prevents us from the identification of the original value. So we have like the customer IDs, customer data, and we can transform it to the form that won't allow us to identify what was the original value, what was the original data. And of course, this is used on the test environments. As we mentioned, mass data anonymization allows you to search for the sensitive data through your whole Dynamics database and anonymize the whole database with the selected sensitive data. So it can be used for testing, but also for developers if we want to share some production data to developers for some reason, but we don't need to have the original data, exact numbers, exact values. We just need the production database. This is the best practice to anonymize the data. And you may ask, why not remove the data from Dynamics? Of course, in Dynamics, the database works and the whole Dynamics works in this way that if we have any transactions, if we have any relations between one data in the system and other data and the transactions, and then we cannot simply remove the data from our system. We have our reporting needs, all the statistical needs where we want to have the data, but so we don't want to remove it, but we need to be compliant with GDPR. So I would say anonymization is like this option that allows you to kind of remove data from your environment, because once you anonymize the data, you cannot identify original values, but data is not physically removed from the database.
Okay.
What are the benefits? So, of course, compliance with data protection regulations, data security in non-production environments, flexibility to reuse anonymization data for different reasons, like we mentioned, testing, but also development, training purposes, and so on. Unlimited data retention. So, of course, GDPR has this rule that we cannot store personal sensitive data for unlimited amount of time. There are different sensitive values, different sensitive data that we can keep for different periods. So, of course, once we anonymized the sensitive data, we can keep this anonymized data for unlimited time, which is different than the real sensitive or personal data. Yeah, an ability to export data internally without legal restrictions. So anonymized data can be shared. So we can share it across our teams, across different business units, and so on. So which is not that easy if we have the real sensitive data. So mass data anonymization is for non-production environments to anonymize the whole databases. And it is different with personal data anonymization. This is, as mentioned, allows you to point out which exact values, which exact data you want to anonymize. You can scan through the whole database and select what should be anonymized. So you can select like single customer and find out all the relations where the customer was in the system, where his data appears in the system, and then anonymize it. And it fulfills two rules of GDPR or CCPA, which is the right to be forgotten. So we can have the situation on our production that somebody calls us and says to us, "Hey, remove me from your databases, from your systems." And as mentioned, we cannot remove data from Dynamics if there are transactions. We also don't want to lose any statistics around our sales or revenue. So anonymization allows us to anonymize this kind of data based on the request from our customer or maybe former employee as well. And this way, we won't be able to go back to the original value, but still data is not removed. It is just anonymized on our production database. Nice. And the second rule is the data retention, right? This is what we already mentioned as well. Personal data can be stored for the limited amount of time. With anonymized data, it is different. You can hold it for unlimited time. Sorry, Jake, I think you had a question, yeah?
No, actually, I was just thinking that I talked about right to be forgotten, but this data retention aspect, that's also quite a nice little benefit there. So, was just enthusiastically agreeing with you.
Okay. So those two products, they are in combination, the data protection suite from our side in a bundle. What are the benefits for the personal data anonymization? Of course, ability to manage data retention, what we mentioned, reduction of stored personal data. So in case of any leaks, any breaks to our database, when we store less personal data, there is lower risk that we will have any problems around that. And we can use procedures in personal data anonymization because it is used on production environments. We have much more complex security restrictions to the product. Also, we have options to set up workflows for handling the data anonymization requests from employees or customers. So it is really complex product for fulfilling all the GDPR rules or data protection rules. And all right, supported system versions. So we, of course, support Dynamics 365 for finance and operations, but also previous versions like AX 2009, AX 2012 as well. But mass data anonymization can be used also on AX 2012 and 9, but with personal, we work only with two systems, AX 2012 and D365. And if we compare it to Microsoft standard, right now in standard Dynamics 365, there are no tools for the data anonymization.
Okay.
That's it from my side.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Back to
It's quite useful.
Yeah, we talked about, here, I'll take the screen back here and we'll go back to the other presentation. But yeah, that's really cool. That's a big prerequisite is data preparation, not just having data and all the settings and stuff set up, but if there are legal requirements such as GDPR, this California law as well, that's something you have to take in consideration and have prepared before you can start doing testing. Yeah. So
with mass data anonymization, preparation of test data for regression or other types of tests is much easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome, dude. Really, thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Pavel.
Yeah. All right, so
we can go back to main topic.
Come back to the main topic here. As you can see, as I mentioned earlier, we talked about how previously we talked about testing and test strategy, and then today we're going to talk a little bit about what happens when you find a bug, and then where you move from there. How do we move it along the pipeline to from testing to getting a resolution for something. So first off, let me talk about the agenda just a little bit here. We're going to talk about bug classification and prioritization, which is nice.
Right.
Workflow and business perspective of that. And then we'll talk about the smarter defect maintenance with executive automats and the Azure DevOps integration. Yeah. So I know you work with that every day.
Mainly. It happens.
Doing,
maybe let's start with some about the bugs in business.
So tell us, how finding or not finding bugs along this process through your testing, how is that affecting the business, whether you find?
I mean, just a small disclaimer on the very beginning from our previous webinar, the first from the series, that we're not only trying to find the bugs, but all the defects even in the setup, in environment, right? Sometimes even in roles, if we cannot pass even some path, some test case, we need to make sure that this is pretty much like regulated and maintained as well. However, coming to the bugs really from the beginning and pretty much according to the, I would say, the theory about the software development, the defects or bugs are like deeply embedded in the code usually, even on very early stages. They are in might be in a project documentation as well, things like this. So basically, but obviously it's the best way is to find them as soon as possible, otherwise the more work, the more rework is needed later on, in the later stages in the software development, right? So
but obviously it's going to cost a lot more the later
we'll come to that point, definitely. About the cost of that, continuing to that, the bug in the system very often affects more parts in the system. Just it's not usually embedded in one place. It's usually affecting other ones. Obviously depends from the relations. It might be in the system between the modules, might be
so modules can cooperate with one another, and so you need to make sure that
so imagine that. So if it's affecting other parts, the other parts might need to be sometimes fixed as well. However, it happens that fixing in one place can fix it totally. But when it's when the other parts are vulnerable from one defect in one part of the system, we need to think sometimes that we need to increase the scope just to keep in mind of that parts which are affected, they will be tested properly. But this is what's happening when it's from the beginning in the software development, and with executive automates in D365, we are in later stage of testing. I would say.
What do you mean by a later stage? Maybe explain what you mean by stages.
So basically, stages by levels actually, because in theory we have levels in testing which starts from basically from units. Basically when you start from scratch, we have some projects, we have some documentation and things like that, and then we have like unit testing, which is like first of the kind of testing, which is done by the usually developers. Yeah, they testing like single lines of code or even multiple. Yeah, just like it's on the very beginning, like I said.
Gotcha.
Yeah. However, next is integration. So let's say we have it used to be called the module testing. Yeah, because we checking like the integration between the modules, and we checking what is happening, how the modules cooperate between each other, and this is made by developers and testers as well. Then we got that system testing. So we basically checking how the whole system is working. So including that module testing, basically how it's respond to each other inside the system. Also, like including maybe some integrations which are outside of the system as well. And this is made by QA people mostly, but by the testers, but devs also. And at the end, we have accepted testing, which is quite frequently called user acceptance tests, but it's a bit further. This is when we want to check how it works for the business users. Yeah, if all needs are basically covered. Yeah, for them.
Yeah, so they can actually do the work.
Yeah. So where we are basically in that when we use executive automates for testing and like finding defects, we are somewhere between, I would say, between system testing and acceptance testing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean between them? So I guess we're touching both system testing and acceptance testing then with what you're doing on a day-to-day basis.
That means basically because we can do several. We can do both basically, the system testing and the acceptance testing. Like I said, because we're touching those two types, and we actually covering quite many types of tests in executive automates. Yeah. However, now I would like to come back to the topic, which is about how business, how defects or bugs can affect our business, basically.
In a coordination with these levels that you just described.
So some of you might know that there is such a thing like rule of 10, which is basically means that with each stage or level of testing, how it's developed, if it's later stage, it's going to cost more. And it's like there is a quite of the it's roughly estimation, because let's say on a very early stage, when we're gonna for example
like the unit,
like gathering requirements and things like this, let's say finding a bug might cost $1, let's say, but with the next stage, which will be implementation, it will cost 10 times more. And with another, after implementation, let's say we're going to have system testing or UAT testing, it's going to cost another 10 times more, which is already like $1,000 per defect. And on this stage, like production, again, 10 times more. This is pretty much roughly estimation, because each project and things like this, it's different. But this is how it works roughly. Like if we are later, basically in stage of software development, and we're gonna find a bug or some defect, it will multiply. The cost of the fixing that actually multiplies by 10 with each stage.
I would assume it's also the cost of fixing it, but then also the cost of the problem that it causes. So if it causes somebody to not be able to do their job for that day, then that's also another cost that you
but like I said, this defect might be deeply embedded in the code, and it was not seen in the early stage of development.
Definitely. So actually, talking about the cost of, what things will cost and what stage you're finding it in, leads us kind of to our next point, which is classifying and prioritizing the defects. Yeah. And so whenever something's found, you need to basically give it a severity and a priority.
Yeah. The most of QA people knows, what that means and what's the dependencies between the priority and severity. Yeah. So usually priority is like how fast defect needs to be fixed. However, severity, it is how bad the issue is. So
how soon will the tornado be here versus
how critical
big is the tornado?
If that will be totally blocker, that's it's preventing us for normally using the system. Well, the severity will be high, like extreme high, because it has huge impact on users, and on the system as well. But in this case, for example, it will come along with the priority. But we can divide, for example, we have, like, let's divide it on four levels, which will be, let's say, like fourth level will be like lowest priority basically, and the first one will be the critical, which needs to be fixed straight away, basically. So let's say the like level 4 will be like cosmetic issues, which can be fixed later, next iteration, because maybe developers need to focus on the more important things. And going to the let's say like level 3, it will be like, it might affect usability, or some minor functionalities also can be fixed later a bit. But we coming to the high priority, which is level 2, and it's important, but it's not a blocker. And that first level, I would say, the priority one is like, it's totally blocker. It's like system is unable to use.
So there's priority and severity. Is there ever a situation where maybe it's high priority and low severity, or vice versa?
So like I said, the priority and severity not always comes along together. If it doesn't mean that priority will be high, the severity will be always high. But for example, I can give some example for dynamics when we tested. So let's say the trial balance. This is one of the, let's say, operation in dynamics. Fails when it's done for a specific account with a specific financial dimensions. So the keyword is specific here. So for rest of the might work properly, and the operation is done. It's not done quite often. It's done like per few months or even half year. So basically, this comes with the low priority. However, it's high severity. For this particular, obviously, financial dimension. So it might be some, I don't know, customer or something. However, opposite, let's say the priority high when the user sees the error notification, let's say, However, there is no error which occurred, which is more cosmetic bug, but it's very confusing, irritating, Well, so for keep workers calm or customers calm, it's better maybe to fix it quickly,
So it probably should have a higher priority, even though it's a lower severity. That makes sense, those are good examples. What are some of the bugs, though, that you're working with while you're doing your daily work with executive automats? What kind of defects are you typically finding?
I mean, we can, with help of executive automates, you can find many kinds. I will just give some example of the few ones, maybe frequently found. So we focused here in executive automates, I think, mostly about functional defects. So which indicates that the functionality or some feature doesn't work as intended, as it's specified. There might be example, even simple example. We have purchase order or sales order. However, when we post that that purchase order, the status of the purchase order is not changing. Yeah, it's, let's say it's still an open order.
Yeah.
But we got a pop-up information that it's processed. Yeah, it's posted. I are able to see even or print it out. But yeah, so this is example of functional defect. Yeah. Integration defect. Yeah, issues between components and systems. So let's say we have CRM, customer engagement. Yeah. So let's say that the data which is created there, it's not visible in D365.
So customer data doesn't get passed over into D365.
So this is issue. Like regression defects, this is pretty much the things which was working previously, it's not working anymore. Yeah, it's broken. So let's say we have some something. The update was implemented into module. Yeah, and let's say account visible, but it causes an error. Let's say in credit management. Yeah. So which is like different model, but you know. It used to work previously, yeah.
And regression testing is a lot of the testing that we're doing every day. So
also like some logical defects, because we had some cases with some clients when we wanted to calculate the discounts, basically along with Dynamics by using some coding functionality. In this case, it was a JavaScript, we just wanted to multiply it and to check if the price will come out properly, but it wasn't actually. So there is some problem with some algorithm or some logic. Also we got like performance defects. But about this one,
we'll have a specific webinar about that.
But what this is basically when something takes longer than supposed to.
Or if Black Friday level of activities on the system and things.
Definitely, this is a real live example of performance testing.
Exactly. So, but we'll talk more about performance in later webinars. Nice. Okay, so that's a good summary there of the things that you'll find whenever you're testing. Now, what do we do once we find them? Of course, we want to, as it says, deliver crystal clear reports. That's not just reports to management about, hey, we found these bugs. But it's also being able to pass information, relevant information along. And we have different ways that we do that to developers or consultants or people who need to fix things. So,
I mean, it usually between from the client, what his requirements, but it's usually done by some issue tracking tool, right? So let's say it might be, usually we use, in executive automats, we can see the history, basically. If something went wrong, we need to analyze this back and eventually we using that issue tracking tool later on, let's say it might be DevOps, for example. However, there are quite many other issue tracking tools. But additionally, from our experience, what we're doing is we create some kind of file, which is available for all stakeholders and for the client, basically, which is cooperating with our team. And it includes, this is pretty much like progression report, which includes all the scope. And there are statuses, if it's in progress, for example, or when it's broker, there is a field for the broker. So this is pretty much essential. But in high level, what's happening with the particular process?
This is something your release management team would be looking at and then delegating people to start fixing.
But it's happening like in real time, and everyone can see that. So it's quickly updated. And obviously, when the blockers, it's happening after some investigation happening to be blocker, then we just basically creating some case on some issue tracking tool, and then it's going through some triage system, which is also depends from the organization, which is like support line or some consultants, who can fix it, because it's don't need to be a defect like a bug in the system. Like I said on the beginning, it might be issue maybe with data, with test data. It might be some some customization issues, even if the roles.
Yep. And that's why another thing that is important in this file you were talking about, it's good to have the script ID, script number, the owner
that needs
of
to be
the
all
process,
included.
all of that stuff needs to be included in
That
there.
needs to be all
So
included.
when it goes to triage, you know who needs to be asked about what.
I mean,
nice.
I would say like also for such a thing, like when we have like more and more blockers in let's say such a file, that's always very good practice is to create meetings devoted for that defects. To have with all the stakeholders, pretty much all the people which are this
relevant. So I know that we use DevOps a lot. Let's talk a little bit about whenever you go into triage, how does that flow look?
I mean, the main flow, it's pretty much like when the QA person knows this is pretty much a defect, after some further investigation. The bug is reported to the issue tracking tool with the state as a new. Then the person from support needs to assign for somebody and check if it's not duplicated, because it might exist already in the system, but this is actually QA role to check also in the system issue tracking tool if it's not already reported, and then it's coming through the several stages, which is like open, so let's say developers working on it, and then it's coming to the fixed. However, straight to the fix supposed to go to the retest, and there are two ways from the retest: or it's going to be closed because the issue is working now, it's fixed, or might be reopen it.
So open, then fixed, but after fixed you need to retest, and then that determines whether, if it is in fact fixed, you close it. If not, then you reopen it.
But what's happening in that time? Obviously, QA person can come with the idea how critical it is for the client business. So it comes along with severity, but the later on support and dev team actually setting up on their like backlog board, I would say, how what's the severity and priority for them, and who's supposed to be attached to it.
Gotcha. Are there any optional statuses?
So like I said, it might be duplicate.
It
might be rejected from some reason because it was not a defect. For example, it was maybe some miscommunication. Right. Sometimes it happens. Or like it might be deferred, but it's like fixed component. But this is in a case of there is very low priority. And also severity, I think. So
I doubt high priorities are getting deferred very often. So I think you'll do a little screen share here for us, but I think we can take a look here at this slide talking about smarter defect maintenance with Automats and Azure DevOps. So we kind of talked theoretically about some things, but I think you're going to share your screen and show us a little bit of DevOps. I think I need to add you to the stage, or maybe you can do it.
Am I added?
Let's see here. Yeah, you should be added there.
Hold on, let me share the screen.
There it is, I think.
Hold on a second. Somehow it's not. I got it. So, like I said,
1 second, I'll remove you and then add you again and see if it shares your screen.
Okay,
See it right
I'm not in there.
I don't see it over there. Maybe it's this one. I gotcha. There we go. I think this will work.
Yeah, you think everyone can see me already or not yet?
1 second. Remove that.
Got it.
Yeah, we're on the same.
Okay, so first I'll maybe confirm maybe that how it helps us with executive automats. So basically when we have our scripts, we can check the history of the scripts. In this case, let's go, for example, here. We are able to even screen through the screenshots, what was happening in this particular script, which is a very good thing. That thing needs to be obviously enabled in the system, in an Executive Automates application. And we see actually execution, how it went. If there will be an error, that will be obviously visible to the screenshot what was happening. Also, we can create some documentation from that as well, which will create for us some PDF file, let's say, with all screenshots included, description of the steps, and that will give us also a big information. And that's also, it's frequently used in organization for
onboarding and training.
Onboarding.
Employees. I also know that the documentation, for example, is quite useful for companies in highly regulated industries.
Yes.
So like defense industry or aviation industry or something, they often have regulations where they have to show proof of testing. So for learning purposes, like you said, moreover, we can produce also video, So video easier
is also
for developers to debug things too with these.
It's also helpful.
Yeah.
Some of the clients, many clients actually using that video. What else we got? Integration with DevOps. It's so in case of defects, it's very helpful, because with such a integration, let's say we have integrated a few sub-projects to the DevOps.
From Executive Automates.
And we can see basically in here, I have 3 test cases, 1 failed, What we can do with that, basically, if we tick the box that we want to documentation, the documentation will be also visible, also should be visible when we go to the history, but we need to run it with the documentation, I think this last run wasn't, there is no attached, but it can be here. So the people who are not involved even with Executive Automates, but they are in the DevOps in testing, they might see it, so which is quite comfortable. Also, same when it comes to failed as well. It's possible to be seen. We have a kind of rules also, what we can do in Executive Automates for and the integration with the DevOps. So
within Executive Automates for testing, you can set up rules to do things like automatically.
There is such a thing. Here we go. So we can, for example, because there are a few types of errors in the Executive Automates, and let's say one will be system error, another will be, for example, some Executive Automates logic error, so that will be just normal error. We can have warning, so we can set up rules for that, and if one of these error occurred, if we choose one of them, that will create it might create task or bug in the DevOps automatically. So this is
so anytime you run a test project or even a test case, if that happens and it meets the rule criteria, then it'll show up in DevOps.
Another thing which is very interesting is configuration. It works both ways. So we can create them or in DevOps and fetch them in here, or we can create them here and set them to DevOps, which means this is pretty much I would say a bag, like a sack. And when we want to put some tests in it, some execution, let's say it might be some different iteration or after upgrade, depends how we're going to call it. That will be visible in DevOps as a the set basically of the test will be the scope will be same, but but it will have the meaning like which is after some update or release, yeah. And by that we can use progress reports also, yeah. So we can have visibility. I exported that actually today, and we can see some diagrams. What happens with that progress report under that configuration, yeah. Which is pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. On top of that, we have also Power BI integration.
Yeah, this is also nice.
Let me get it. But yes, but that needs some tinkering actually.
Yeah, you have to set it up. Yep.
I mean, that needs to be set it up by the endpoints, and we can have interesting reports from the not only executions but even from created scripts if something is added in here. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But that's needs more maintenance a bit on the beginning, but later on it's very helpful, especially for organizations which are working in Power BI quite a lot. Yeah.
Which
So yeah,
many are. Yeah.
Pretty much that's it from my side in that terms of showing my screen. So maybe we can summarize a bit.
Yeah, come back here. Bring back up the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, so today was test, automate, report was the idea behind what we're talking about. And we went through, and of course, at first we talked about kind of the prerequisite of data preparation, specifically anonymization with Pavel whenever he was with us. Then we moved into finding a defect and the importance of when you find it, how early you find it. We talked a bit about the rule of 10 and how it'll be multiplied by 10 times each later stage you get to, yeah? And then after that, of course, is the reporting aspect. I really like seeing, I haven't seen too much of the Power BI, although I know a lot of customers are using such things. That was quite interesting for me. And the difference between severity and priority was also kind of unique.
I would also remind about negative testing, which is quite, maybe I forgot to mention that. I told something about it on the first webinar. But yeah, this is quite important because if we have some heavily customized dynamics, which has quite a lot of some kind of thresholds and validations, it's good to have them. I mean, it checks a lot because we want to check if we exceed something as well.
Yeah. And you want to make sure that if you're expecting an error, that error
happens
as
and
well. You're notified about it. So,
that's pretty much the setup here. So we need to check that also.
Yeah. So the negative testing is quite important as well. But we touched about that on a good bit in the first webinar. So you guys can go back and check out the first webinar if you have any more questions about that, or even just reach out, and we're happy to always chat with anybody. So, I think that's for our topics. We're getting close to time running out here. So we want to make sure we get to our QA session as well. So we want to save some time here at the end to answer some questions from our participants. But before that, we do have an important reminder for everybody. And so let me bring this up here on the screen. So this is actually with regards to licensing in D365. You mentioned roles and so forth a few times as it pertains to testing, but with regards to licensing, Dynamics, Microsoft, and D365, they're making some changes that'll be starting November 1st. September 1st, you'll start actively getting notifications for any employees or users who don't have a license assigned to them. It'll be giving you notification about them. And so your administrators really need to be looking into this. And that's actually an area that we can help out with a lot. Because now in the public preview of 10.0.43 release of Dynamics 365, you can see user security governance module in there. And that is actually, we are very familiar with that, and some of you who are watching might also be familiar with it. This is what we created to help with security permission setup. And so definitely with this November event coming up where they're going to start really cracking down on the licenses and who's using it if you don't have one and you don't have access. So reach out to us about that. There's even a brief little survey. You can use this QR code here, or in the comments, you'll be able to see a link to the survey as well. Here at, yeah, there it is in the comments now. So yeah, definitely reach out to us about that, because that is going to be an important thing. You want to make sure you're not overpaying, or make sure that everybody has the access that they need. And we've got ways to help you out with that very easily. So I think that's the last quick little important update there. Now I think we can move into the QA question and answer section here.
Yeah, we're heading to.
Yeah, let's see if anybody has any questions. Definitely put them here in the comments section, and I'll try to show them up on the screen, and we can answer if we know what the answer is.
Yeah, if we not, we cannot just
yeah,
forward
we'll
it.
get back to you. Yeah, but there's plenty of smart people here.
All right, yeah. I'm just checking, like, maybe we skipped something, but I think we covered the topic pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, and also putting here in the comments, we had recently a webinar on user security governance, this module that's coming in Dynamics for security permissions and licensing. So there's a link in the comments for that as well. So
I think we've got a question.
Yeah, looks like we have one. Let's pop that up here on the screen.
Okay, how to manage data in executive automation when it comes to the maintenance scripts. But that depends from the organization. So we need to define a couple of things. How often we got database refresh, and if that database refresh is changing the data, frequently. Yeah. Well, that good stuff is actually to use global Excel in executive automates to store pretty much and connect the data to write the right projects, subprojects, and scripts. Yeah. And if, for example, for whole module, let's say we have quite big scope in the whole module, let's say it's going to be 30, 40 scripts, and they're going to use pretty much similar data, and they are connected to it. If something changed in the data, we don't need to change that in that 40 scripts, but we can change it in one Excel file. Yep. Yeah. Nice. So, and then all the scripts should be ready to use again. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice little tip too.
So so using Excel is actually helps a lot. But yeah, how you handle automation for third-party applications. So depends what kind of third party. Yeah. We deal with. However, with new version, which will be soon 5.2. It can pretty much handle other system than Dynamics 365.
Yeah, anything web-based. Yeah.
Yes. Sometimes it might need some maintenance, maybe, or add some advanced code with JavaScript. But yeah, it's doing well with some other apps as well.
Yeah, and we can help with that too. So even if you don't know how to do JavaScript coding, which I'm sure most customers have people that do know that, but we can also help out with that. And that's within the EA tool. There's the ability to use
functionality,
code to do things. And then outside of that too, there's Selenium and so forth.
But what comes to my mind also, because we had a few cases, even when we need such a thing that we need to shoot with API calls as well. Yeah, we are able to do it with executive automates. By the functionality advanced code, which is built in an app.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, it's doable.
Yeah, good question, Anna.
All right. Are we going to have some more questions? Let's wait like maybe 1 minute more.
Yeah, let me put our contact up here on the.
Oh, yeah.
See if we got back here at the beginning. There we go. We'll wait another minute or so and see
So-
if there's any other questions.
So basically, this is third episode, yeah?
Yeah,
Which
episode
is
3.
Almost finished.
Yeah, it's a trilogy now. Star Wars.
It's trilogy, yeah. But we're gonna have one more, which will be with the Pavel, I think in 2 weeks.
Yep. And then me and you again.
And you and me, yeah.
Yeah.
And me and you.
Yeah, so we'll skip next week. That's a big holiday in the U.S.,
Yeah.
Independence Day, and then come back the 11th for the 4th episode, and then the 18th, I believe.
Yeah,
Yep,
I think it's 18, yeah. All right. I think we can call it a day.
It's always a pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
Look forward to hearing from everybody. Reach out to us. We're really happy to talk about testing, talk about data protection, talk about user security governance. That's really, really going to be a big topic for you guys moving forward. So, yeah, we're here and ready to chat. So,
Thank
everybody
you.
have a great night. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.